Hello fellow woodworkers and welcome to this week's edition of the Garage Workshop and the second video in the Tambour cupboard build. It's pretty fair to say this build did not go to plan. I've included all the footage from this week's build, but it's definitely an epic failure. Please continue to watch and let me know what you think in the comments. Roll the intro. Okay, so all the slats are now cut to the same length as the master, so I'm ready for the next stage, which is gluing the canvas on. I bought some canvas on Amazon. The only thing about this canvas is it does say all over the packet, do not iron. It's heavy duty canvas, so hopefully it's going to be thick enough, and I bought a sheet which is going to be long enough, but will need some trimming down because obviously it's a lot wider than the strips, as you can see. And the other thing is obviously the canvas needs to be inset for the tambour to work, so I'm not going to go straight up. The likelihood is I'll cut the canvas. Now the next stage is, as I said, is to glue and stick the canvas, but the first thing I'm going to do is just let the canvas hang overnight. I'm just going to hang it up on the wall just to try and drop out some of the creases because it is pretty creased, and I've done this before. I'm just going to attach a couple of bits of wood at the bottom, just a little bit of a weight, and then I'll hang it up, and hopefully overnight some of the canvas creases will drop out. I don't need all of this anyway, but that's the next stage. So let's hang it overnight and we'll catch up and see how it is in the morning. Okay, so now I've got the slats cut and they're sanded. They're not perfectly sanded, but to be honest, I'm going to leave a little bit of an edge on them because I want to give the glue like a key to stick to. So I'm going to lay the slats out. This is the canvas that I left overnight. I've just rolled it up. I'm pleased to say there's still ridges in it, but it's a lot better than it was when I put it out. So I'm gonna put all these slats out, lay them out, get them exactly edge to edge. I might just put a piece of wood either side to sort of clamp it, and then I'm gonna cut a rough estimate, rough size of the canvas. Obviously I've got this leading edge which needs taking off. And I can already tell, I'm not sure if you can see that, but the side here, the way that this has been sold, obviously somebody has just cut a strip off of a strip because both of the edges are not straight. I've already put a ruler against them and they're completely not straight. So I'm going to lose a little bit of the canvas essentially by getting the slats exactly where I want them, putting the canvas on with a bit of canvas overspill, and then I'm going to trim the canvas around the edge of the wood that it's stuck to. So let's give that a go now. So not everything goes according to plan, as you'll see throughout this video, but the next thing I did was lay out all of the slats, and I spent quite a long time, as you can see, getting this all nice and straight because I wanted to make sure the slats were all completely lined up, which they were, before I went to the next stage of gluing. For some reason, I don't understand why the footage I took of me gluing was lost, but to be honest with you, I just put a blob of glue on it and wiped it around with a roller, so you didn't really miss much. But when I got everything exactly right and exactly straight, it looked very impressive. A lot of the stuff throughout this build has actually looked a lot better than it was, and I was pleased to see that all the slats were exactly the same size. I think there was only one in there that was 1 millimeter out. The next thing I did was lay out the canvas to get a sort of rough shape. You saw that my scissors just completely broke in my hand before the next stage, which was the gluing and sticking down, which, as I said, comes in a minute, but unfortunately lost the footage on that one. Okay, so as you can see, the canvas is all glued up now. I chose to use wood glue. I'm not sure if that was the right choice or not, to be honest. Well, I suppose we'll find out, won't we? But I specifically chose to use wood glue because I wanted something that would adhere really strongly to the wood, which obviously the wood glue would. I'm going to get a piece of wood now to just put in here to just sit on. These are all clamped to the edge. It's actually stuck to the edge really, really well on this end. And again, I'm going to be trimming it up anyway. So in a minute when it's dried, or in about an hour or so when it's dried, I'm just going to go in with a Stanley knife and cut the loose canvas off. But now I'm just going to get a piece of wood, a plank of wood, to sit in there and put some weight on it and leave it to dry. And then let's come back and see what it looks like. So what you can't see on here was my excitement in the hope that this had worked. Excitement which was shortly ruined, to be honest, but I had hoped it would work. Okay, so as you will have just seen, I've left that for a good hour and a half now with the contact adhesive on it, and it hasn't stuck. There's still a lot of wood glue on the wood. I did a Google search and it did say, quite a few of the websites that I went to said that wood glue should attach the canvas to the wood. And obviously the contact adhesive is obviously working. It's sticky, I can feel it on my fingers, but obviously that hasn't worked either. So I'm a bit stuck on really what to try next, to be honest. I've got some Gorilla Wood glue which I could try, but the only thing that's worrying me is the amount of glue I'm putting on is being absorbed into the wood, and I'm a bit worried about the impact that that's having. And the canvas, as you can see, has got glue has transferred on it, but it's not sticky in the slightest. And this canvas is specially designed to be glued. It's not like some special canvas, and it's the same on both sides of the canvas. So it's not like there's one side where it is sticky and one side where it's shiny and one side where there isn't. It's exactly the same material on both sides. So I'm not really 100% sure on what to do on that. The only thing I thought was I perhaps didn't leave the contact adhesive to go sticky before I put the canvas on. So off camera the corner hadn't stuck, so I put it on, sprayed a bit on, waited until it went tacky and put it on, and it's just peeled straight off. So I'm not 100% sure on what's the best course of action. Like I said, I thought it might be because it's too cold out here, but I've just checked it and it's 4 degrees, so that shouldn't be affecting the gluing either. So what I think I'm going to do is perhaps just have one more go with the contact adhesive, use the other side of the canvas just to rule that out. As I said, there's already glue on it, and it does feel sticky. It feels sticky enough, so I'll put some more contact adhesive on. I'll give it 5 or so minutes until it goes sticky, and I'll just try once more, and I'll just try on the other side of the canvas just to see. I mean, I don't think it is that, because the canvas is the same on both sides. The canvas isn't water repellent either, so it's not like it's coated and that's stopping the glue from sticking. So I'll give it one more go and let's see what it looks like afterwards. So not one to be put off, I did try again. I also used a different glue there you see me spraying on. It's a Yoo-hoo sort of different form of contact adhesive, but it's essentially the same thing. And I applied it actually to material and to the wood this time. And then I decided that it was nowhere near as sticky as it was underneath, so I went back to the sort of original sticky side, and I spent quite a bit more time flattening the glue out this time than I had done the first time when I glued it, just to make sure that that almost wasn't an excuse, if you see what I mean, to make sure that that wasn't the problem. And as you can see, it came straight off. So I restuck it down, and then while I was waiting for that to dry, I started creating the actual cabinet that's going on the wall. This is where I made quite a big mistake, which you'll hear about at the end. And I think this is just because I had become so fixated by the gluing and the drying of the Tambour door that I'd actually sort of forgotten everything else that was going on. So I actually put this cupboard together incorrectly, completely incorrectly. And whereas the bottom was sitting sort of inside the cabinet there, it shouldn't have been. The cabinet should have been inside, but more of that later. Again, my second bit of excitement when I lifted it up, and to be fair, this time it was a lot better. It was stuck a lot better. A couple of bits came straight off, you'll see just there when I started folding it, and obviously the slats had all stuck together as well, which didn't help.
So as I had to sort of break them apart, which you can see me doing then, it also meant that some of them came out. You see that one there, raised straight up. I mean, it would have been okay. The majority of them had stuck well enough that I could have used it. But obviously that became a moot point at the end. Didn't know what I wanted to do here, so I just put these two right angle brackets on just to help. And I then fed it in, and this is where I first realised that this was not going to work. Apart from the fact it was quite wide in the gap, the corner bit at the top, that was just too tight, far too tight, and the whole thing just did not move up and down at all. I know I've got it on its side and I'm sort of against gravity, but there was no way that was going to work. It became quite obvious, even attaching the other side and filling it in, it was quite apparent there was no way that what I wanted to do was going to work. So having attached the top again in the wrong place, off camera I just routed out the corners. You can see there just as I'm feeding it in the hope that that would at least make a difference. I think you can probably feel by this point my complete and utter frustration at what had gone on. Very, very annoying.
Okay, so as you will have seen, the tambour didn't work. To be honest, I'm not surprised. I think when I set out on this project, I thought the tambour was going to be a little bit of a stretch for my capabilities anyway, to be honest with you, and that's the way it's proved. And even though I got it into the grate, there's no way it's sliding back and forward or in or out, and actually just lifting it off, 4 or 5 of the bits of wood that were on it have just pinged off. So the whole point of this project was to make a storage cabinet for my wall that I could put my drills on with the tambour door. Well, obviously the tambour door's not going to happen, but that doesn't mean I have to abandon the original project. So what I'm going to do is finish making this, put the shelves in, cut the shapes out for my drill as I did in the original plan, do the French cleat, and then put it on the wall. But I'm going to abandon the tambour now because it's obviously not working. I think a combination of my lack of skill and the way that I'm doing it are just not working, and I don't either think this is the right way of doing it, if you see what I mean. The groove is more than wide enough for that door to slide up and down, but even going around the corner here, which is massively cut on an angle, it's just not doing it. So rather than waste any more time, I'll just put the cabinet together as it is.
I almost don't want to do a voiceover, but just look at me shake my head. This is the realization point where I knew it was completely wrong and I'd made a massive, massive cock up. You can just see the shrug of the shoulders and the wake of the head there. And of course I immediately realised what the problem was and the mistake I'd made.
Okay, okay, so as you will have just seen, the unit, which originally was meant to be a tambour unit, which I just converted into a unit, doesn't fit on the wall, which was quite a surprise to me, I have to be honest. And the reason that it didn't fit on the wall is, of course, when I measured it, I measured this bit sitting on the top of the unit, not being inside it. So now I've built it this way with this inset. It is about 3.5 centimeters too wide, which is exactly, these are 18mm wide, which is exactly the same as that. Now I could quite easily take these off and put it on the top, but I am just thinking this unit is not what I expected it to be, and now it's got a great big groove cut out all the way round. It's going to look horrible when it's on the wall, so I'm going to give up. The reason why I'm giving up is quite simple really. I don't want to put something on the wall that is a bodge job, and that is essentially what this is. Now when I started this YouTube channel, I did say it was going to be a warts and all production. I could quite easily remake this cupboard, put it on the wall and recut all the video so it looks like it was a success. But to me, there's not a lot of point in that. This is the first time I've gone to make something and it actually hasn't worked at all. So to me, the learning process has been very much on what's gone on. So I'm going to post this video, as long as it is, I'm sorry they are long ones, I'm going to post this video on with one purpose or intent. If you're at sort of the standard I am, and one of the other things I've learned from this is I'm probably a lot further back than I thought I was. If you're at the same standard as me, please don't make some of the mistakes that I've made in this video, in this set of videos, because I think fundamentally I tried to overstretch myself a little bit with the Tambour, which is where I went wrong to start with. Having said that, if you don't try things, you're not going to improve, are you? I've learned a lot of things from doing this, a lot of things that I will take with me. The other thing about this, the last thing, is when I just lifted it to put it on the wall, it's really heavy, a lot heavier than I would be comfortable putting on the wall. So I am going to make another cupboard for the wall, and what I think I'll do is just do a little update. I'll just do a quick run through of how I made it and do a little update. But for this one, for this project, woodworkers, epic fail. If this is the first time watching the Garage Workshop, please don't let it put you off. Not all my videos are like this. Please subscribe, hit the like and comment. If you are a regular follower, thank you for sitting through this if you've got this far. And also like and comment. I do read all your comments and I do reply to all of them, and it's really important feedback to me. So join me next week on what will hopefully be a more successful project. Happy woodworking, everyone.